How Inuit build a warm igloo in just 2 hours. Imagine being stranded in the Arctic. No tent, no cabin, just endless ice and negative 40-degree Fahrenheit winds. How would you survive? For the Inuit, the answer is simple. Build a house out of snow. Not just any snow fort, a self-heating igloo that traps warmth better than your winter jacket. And they could build it in just 2 hours. Let's discover the engineering secrets of this ancient survival hack, the science behind an igloo. Ever wondered how a house made of snow can keep you warm in negative 40-degree Fahrenheit? Spoiler, it's not magic, it's science, and the Inuit mastered it thousands of years ago. First, let's talk about heat. Heat loves to move. It flows from warm areas to cold ones until everything balances out. And there are 3 ways it travels. There's conduction, which is heat moving through touch. Convection, that involves heat moving through fluids. And radiation is heat zipping through space as invisible waves. Now here's the kicker. Cold isn't a thing. It's just the absence of heat. So when you're freezing, it's because heat is escaping your body. And that's where igloos come in. Think of an igloo like a giant snow blanket. A blanket doesn't make heat, it traps your body heat. Same with an igloo. The snow walls act as insulation, keeping your warmth inside and the freezing air out. Igloos were the brainchild of the Inuit, indigenous people of Greenland, Alaska, and Canada. But they weren't the only ones. Tribes like the Yupik, Aleut, and Siberian Chukchi also used similar snow shelters. Originally, igloos were temporary homes for winter and hunting trips. Today, they're more about cultural pride and survival skills than everyday living. But one thing hasn't changed. You need the right snow to build one. Not just any snow works. The Inuit used compressed snow, nature's version of a winter jacket. It's packed with tiny air pockets that slow down heat loss, making it the perfect building material for Arctic survival. In the Arctic, snow is everywhere, but not all snow is created equal. The Inuits look for compressed snow, firm enough to cut into blocks, but still fluffy inside. How do they find it? With the stick test. They poke a stick into the snowbank. If it slides in smoothly, but holds firm, it's perfect. This snow is packed with air pockets, making it a natural insulator. Fluffy snow, great for snowballs. Compressed snow, that's your igloo building gold. While most Inuit now live in modern homes, igloos are still a big deal. Hunters use them during blizzards, and tourists flock to igloo hotels for a taste of Arctic life. But the real value? Passing down this ancient skill to the next generation. Because when the Arctic throws a storm your way, sometimes the old ways are the best ways. An experienced Inuit can build a warm igloo in just 2 hours once they find the perfect snow. What is used to build an igloo? Forget hammers and nails, the real MVP of igloo building is the snow knife. Think of it as a machete, but for snow. Traditionally made of bone, these knives are now metal and are used to cut perfectly shaped blocks from packed snowdrifts. Then there's the shovel, which helps move snow and create trenches. Together, these tools let the Inuit stack blocks in a spiral. But here's the kicker. To choose their snow, they tested it with a huvgut, a long metal rod with a ball at the tip, to check if the snow was solid enough. Too soft, the igloo would collapse. Too hard, it wouldn't insulate properly. Now here's where it gets really cool. Pun intended. The compressed snow traps air, keeping the inside of the igloo surprisingly warm. And for the windows, they used ice or even seal intestines to let in light without losing heat. Oh, and don't forget the snow goggles. Nowadays, modern Inuit use these to protect against snow blindness, when the sun reflects off the snow and fries your eyes. Igloos weren't just cool, they were essential for survival. One family could build and move into a fully furnished igloo in under 2 hours, faster than most of us can put together IKEA furniture. How Inuit build their igloo? It all starts with the foundation. The Inuit clear the snow and mark a perfect circle using a simple but genius trick. One person stands at the center with a rope, and another walks around marking the circle. Next, they cut and place the first row of snow blocks. Each block is about 2 feet by 4 feet and 8 inches thick, perfect for stability. They angle each block slightly inward, about 15 degrees, to create a spiral. This spiral is the secret to the igloo's strength. As the walls rise, the blocks get smaller. Why? Because larger blocks at the bottom create a stable base, while smaller blocks on top reduce weight and pressure. It's like building a snow pyramid, but way cooler. The final piece of the puzzle is the keystone block, the crown jewel of the igloo. This block locks the entire dome together. It's shaped like a pyramid, wider at the top than the bottom. So it wedged perfectly into place. One wrong move and the whole thing could collapse. Talk about pressure. But the igloo isn't done yet. To make it livable, the Inuit add a cold trap entrance, a small tunnel that keeps cold air from flooding the living space. They also carve a ventilation hole at the top to prevent suffocation and manage humidity. Inside, they create a cozy sleeping platform out of snow covered with willow twigs and caribou furs. And for light and heat, a shallow saucer burns seal blubber, turning the igloo into a warm, glowing sanctuary. Once the igloo has been built, they've swapped a freezer for a cozy winter cabin, just by using snow. How igloos work to keep people warm. How does a house made of snow keep you warm in the Arctic? It sounds like a paradox, but the Inuit figured it out centuries ago. In fact, an igloo can be up to 40 degrees warmer inside than outside. So if it's negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit out there, it's a balmy 32 degrees Fahrenheit in the igloo. Still chilly, but way better than freezing your toes off. Here's where it gets interesting. You are part of the heating system. Your body generates as much heat as a 100-watt light bulb. Pack a few people into an igloo, and suddenly you've got a natural furnace. Cold air is denser, so it sinks to the bottom, while warm air rises. The dome shape of the igloo creates a natural convection system, keeping the sleeping area toasty. The igloo's floor is divided into terraces. The upper level is for sleeping, where the warm air hangs out. The middle is for cooking, adding extra heat, and the bottom acts as a cold sink. It's like a snow-powered HVAC system. And don't forget the ventilation hole. It lets fresh air in and prevents carbon dioxide buildup. Plus, it helps regulate temperature by letting warm air escape and drawing in fresh air from the entrance tunnel. Thick snow walls don't just trap heat, they also block the wind. Wind chill can make negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit feel like negative 70 degrees. But inside the igloo, it's calm and relatively warm. Basically, the architecture of an igloo is what we call biomimicry. The Inuit figured out how to use natural principles to solve a tough human challenge right in the center of one of the coldest regions of the world. How warm is an igloo inside? Imagine it's negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and you're living in a house made of snow. Sounds like a recipe for frostbite, right? Wrong. Igloos can be up to 40 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit warmer inside than outside. But how? When built right, an igloo can create a 40-degree temperature difference between its interior and the freezing outside. That means if it's negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit out there, it's a cozy 32 degrees Fahrenheit in the igloo. Not tropical, but definitely life-saving. Here's the breakdown. Near people, it's around 97 degrees Fahrenheit, body heat for the win. The surrounding air, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And near the walls is a chilly 34 degrees Fahrenheit. But compared to the negative 40 degree Fahrenheit outside, it's basically a sauna. Now, hearing 16 degrees or 1 degree Celsius might not sound particularly cozy, but you need to remember that we're talking about some of the coldest regions on Earth, In Arctic terrains, the external temperature can plummet to a staggering -40 to 50 degrees Celsius, or -40 to 58 degrees Fahrenheit. With how bad it's freezing, an igloo was the only way for the Inuit to save their lives. The igloo is designed with the ability to maintain an impressive temperature difference. It's even more impressive when you realize that this was achieved for thousands of years without any modern heating systems. The more people, the warmer it gets. Pack 20 people into a large igloo and their combined body heat turns it into a toasty Arctic retreat. It's like a snow-powered group hug. Igloos come in all sizes. Small ones, just 1.5 meters high, were used by hunters for temporary shelters. Larger ones, they were linked together to form cozy family compounds. Think of it as the original open-concept living, but with snow walls. Snow isn't just for igloos. Arctic animals like foxes and hares burrow into it for warmth. Even plants use snow as a natural blanket to survive freezing temps. Snow is basically nature's insulation, and the Inuit mastered it. The diverse use of igloos. For Inuit hunters, igloos were the ultimate life hack. In just 2 hours, they could build a warm, sturdy shelter. These compact igloos, about 1.5 meters high, were perfect for overnight stays and waiting out storms. Think of them as the original pop-up tents, but way cooler. Every Inuit hunter knew how to build igloos and could provide shelter for themselves in a short time. In the vast and frozen Arctic landscapes, hunters travel far from their main settlement to look for game. With an igloo, they can stay protected wherever. Igloos weren't just for sleeping, they were also nature's freezer. The stable, below-freezing temps made them perfect for storing meat and keeping it safe from scavengers like polar bears. Who needs a fridge when you've got snow? In the Arctic, storms hit fast and hard, but with an igloo, the Inuit had a life-saving refuge. Blizzards, storms, and extreme cold could strike without warning. But fortunately, they could build emergency shelters when necessary. When bad weather struck, they'd quickly build one and wait it out. It wasn't just shelter, it was survival. Igloos weren't always temporary. Larger ones were linked together to form compounds, housing entire families. Some even had separate rooms for sleeping, cooking, and storage. It's like the original open-concept living, Arctic style. The igloos could accommodate extended families or communities as they shared different resources and took care of their homes together. With large igloos like this, they often lined the interior with animal skins for more insulation and comfort. Igloos weren't just practical, they were cultural hubs. Larger igloos hosted community gatherings, celebrations, and dances. In the isolated Arctic, these spaces kept traditions alive and kept people together. The structure of an igloo does not collapse. Are you wondering how a house made of snow doesn't just collapse under its own weight? It's genius engineering by the Inuit that makes igloos stronger than they look. The secret? It's all in the shape. Igloos are built as domes, specifically a catenoid, a fancy word for a shape that evenly distributes pressure. Think of it like an egg, curved, strong, and nearly impossible to crush in your hand. If igloos had a cubical or rectangular shape, they'd have weak points at the corners and edges. But if the dome shape spreads the weight evenly, no single spot bears too much stress. It's like teamwork for the snow blocks. Snow might seem flimsy, but compacted into blocks and arranged in a spiral, it's surprisingly sturdy. Each block supports the one above it, creating a self-reinforcing structure. It's like a snow Jenga tower that doesn't topple over. In fact, a well-built igloo can support the weight of an adult. Try that with your snowman. The dome shape isn't just strong, it's also wind-resistant. Unlike flat or angular structures that catch the wind, the curved surface lets wind flow around it. This makes igloos completely blizzard-resistant, and the Inuit families didn't have to worry about their house collapsing on top of their head. Of course, the stability of an igloo also depends on the builder's skill. The Inuit perfected this craft over centuries. cutting and placing each block with precision. It's definitely not this easy for someone that tries to build it today, but for the Inuits, building an igloo is a 2-hour snow puzzle, one they've mastered. But you can't deny that it's pretty impressive that the Inuit could figure out how to handle accommodation in the coldest place in the world with only the raw material that they had available. Are igloos still used? Igloos have been around for thousands of years, but are they still a thing? Yes, but not in the way you might think. These snow shelters went from survival essential to cultural icon. Once, igloos were lifesavers for the Inuit, temporary shelters for hunters, and emergency refuges during storms. Today, most Inuit live in modern homes with heating and electricity. But igloos? They're far from forgotten. Some Inuit still build igloos for hunting trips or emergencies. It's a skill passed down through generations, keeping tradition alive. This is the ultimate Arctic life hack, handy when modern shelters are miles away. Igloos have also gone glam. In the tourist world, they're a must-try experience. Imagine sleeping in a heated igloo with a glass ceiling, stargazing under the northern lights. It's like camping, but with a snow twist. Ice hotels and igloo villages have become bucket list destinations. They're not just shelters, they're works of art, blending tradition with modern luxury. For the Inuit, igloos are more than just snow houses. They're a symbol for ingenuity and resilience. They represent a deep connection to the Arctic environment and a way of life that's lasted for thousands of years. Would you stay in an igloo for the experience, or stick to modern comforts? Now you know how Inuit build a warm igloo in just 2 hours. When it comes to surviving in one of the coldest environments on Earth, igloos are the oldest and best solution. So could you survive in an igloo? Drop a snowflake in the comments if you'd like to give it a shot. Or let us know if you'd rather Netflix and chill at home. And if you're curious about more wild survival hacks that Inuit use, hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching.